We are taught that democracy means rule by the people, that political power flows upward from the masses, that elections determine who governs, that sovereignty rests with citizens. But James Burnham asks a quieter question. What if democracy does not eliminate elites, but manages them? What if the story we tell about democracy is not false, but incomplete? In The Machiavellians, Burnham does not attack democracy. He attacks illusions about democracy, and his argument is unsettling not because it destroys democracy, but because it reframes it. The democratic narrative is simple. Citizens vote, representatives govern, power is accountable, majorities decide. But large modern societies are complex. Millions of people, layered institutions, administrative systems, permanent bureaucracies, professional political classes, corporate influence, security structures, financial networks. Does power really flow directly from the people, or does it flow through organized minorities? This is where Burnham turns to the thinkers he calls the Machiavellians. Burnham draws heavily from three thinkers: Vilfredo Pareto, Gaetano Mosca, Robert Michels. Each, in his own way, reaches the same conclusion. In every organized society, a minority rules, always. Mosca calls it the ruling class. Pareto calls it the elite. Michels formulates the iron law of oligarchy. Even organizations founded on democratic principles, political parties, labor unions, reform movements, inevitably develop leadership structures. Hierarchy emerges. Administration consolidates. A small group makes decisions. This is not a conspiracy. It is a structural reality. Large systems require coordination. Coordination produces leadership. Leadership produces elites. But elites do not rule nakedly. They justify themselves. Mosca calls this the political formula. Every ruling class governs in the name of something: divine right, revolutionary necessity, national destiny, popular sovereignty. In democracies, the formula is the people rule, but operationally, governance is carried out by elected officials, party leadership, career administrators, policy experts, corporate executives, judges, and security agencies. The formula says the people. The structure says the organized minority. Burnham's claim is not that democracy is fraudulent. It is that democracy rests on necessary political myth. When Burnham asks whether democracy is an illusion, he does not mean that elections are meaningless. He does not mean that citizens have no influence. He means something more subtle. Every political order rests on a story about itself, a story that justifies who rules and why. Political myths are not necessarily lies. They are functional. They shape behavior. They legitimize authority. They restrain excess. The myth of popular sovereignty channels elite competition. It forces rulers to seek consent. It permits opposition. It creates turnover. It stabilizes ambition. The danger is not the myth itself. The danger is forgetting that it is myth. So is democracy an illusion? If by democracy we mean the literal rule of millions directly exercising power, then yes, that is an illusion. But if democracy means a structured competition among elites under public legitimacy, then democracy is very real. Burnham is not anti-democratic. He is anti-romantic. He rejects the belief that eliminating elites is possible, which is simply realistic. Instead, he asks, How can elites be constrained? How can they be forced to compete? How can they be prevented from stagnating? How can opposition remain legitimate? For Burnham, constitutional democracy survives not by abolishing elites, but by managing their circulation. A stagnant elite hardens into oligarchy. A circulating elite sustains constitutional order. He argues that illusions about power weaken the very institutions that restrain it. If citizens believe power does not exist, they will not build mechanisms to control it. If citizens believe elites have disappeared, they will not demand accountability. Realism, for Burnham, is a form of discipline. It is not cynicism. It is structural clarity. Cynicism says nothing can be restrained. Romanticism says power has disappeared. Realism asks how power can be limited. If elites always rule, then democracy cannot mean the absence of elites. It must mean something else. Perhaps democracy survives not by eliminating power, but by managing it. By forcing elites to compete, by permitting dissent, by institutionalizing opposition. The question, then, is not whether elites exist. The question is whether they can be restrained. In the next episode, we turn to Burnham's most controversial claim, that modern society has produced a new kind of ruling class, the managerial elite. I'll see you there.